You can follow along on the YouTube ones as well if the video is a little bit choppy here, although it looks like you can see it pretty well. So we'll just talk through the entry here, and then we'll show it and talk through it again. I want to see a nice hurdle. In the hurdle, for the most part, arms are coming to their ears. They might be a little bit lower than their ears. Some coaches teach hurdling almost like straight in front of you. I like the general concept of that because it's the point is to keep your momentum going forward. However, I've also noticed that if they don't bring their arms up enough, they'll drop their chest. If they drop their chest, they won't be able to use their legs as well. So if we get our arms almost to our ears in the hurdle, the next thing that they'll do is they'll go through mountain climber, back leg bend, front leg bend, kick. I'll come back to the hands. Hands go down on the mat, and then we're going to have a super scoop. And then after our super scoop, from that position, will be a whip open. So we'll see that here. Go ahead and press play, please, Jenna. There's the hurdle, arms up. There's the mountain climb, push, push. And her body's a little bit piked and hollow there. And that is actually what we're looking for.
And these are in slow motion.
Yes. Yep. If it seems like it's going slow, that's because it's supposed to. We'll mention that setup there later, but that's my favorite setup. We can talk a little bit more about it later, but one thing as you're watching these, you can be looking for the things we were talking about. The one thing I am seeing on a lot of these vaults, which is something we were working at the time, is there's actually a little too much flight from their feet to their hands at the beginning of the round off. So you'll see actually a moment where their feet are off the ground and their hands haven't touched yet. That is actually something I like to work on shortening. That's a little closer to what I want, actually. Less flight on the from the feet to the hands and the hurdle to the round off. You see there's a little bit of air time there. That's going to keep us from getting as fast of a rotation as we want. Okay, let's go on to video number 3, please. Okay, go ahead and pause it, please. So, my guess is when I first started doing this lecture about 5 years ago, it wasn't common to use the super scoop. It was probably the common way was to snap really, really nice and hollow. We would do handstand snap downs where you're trying to have as little bend in your hip as possible. We still want to maintain a hollow chest position. We want our low back to be hollow. However, we do want a little bit of a pike in our hips. Here's the idea for that. If I'm, let's say I have to do a double backflip, and I get to choose whether to do a layout or a tuck position, I'm going to choose the tuck because when you go from long to short, you flip faster. It's just easier. Now, I think double layouts are beautiful. If I could do it, I would. But I would need the help of getting into a tight little ball. So if we're asking an athlete to turn their round off over and we're asking them to lay out from their hands to their feet, that's a lot harder to turn over than if we're asking them to go to more of a piked layout position or even maybe like a 90-degree pike. That will create rotation there. The second thing that it will do is it will create a position from which they can really, as they push through the board, they can pop their hips and reach their arms. That's the whip part of the rotation. All right, go ahead and press play, please. I just have her holding the wall and feeling the scoop shape. This is just here to just show that if you watch really good athletes, such as Simone Biles, who is very powerful, they still are using that pike through their round off. So you can see the arms drop and the hips are closed. And so really that's going to create a lot of power. And if the best athletes in the world who are very powerful need to do it, I think an athlete who is learning to do a Chenko is probably going to need to use that same pike method in the hips. You see a little less of a pike in the round off for vault, but still arms dropped, pike hips, and then the whip open to get back to the table. So this is how we start teaching the super scoop. It's just handstand, step down, and they want to feel a pull almost from their low back. So they'll feel like if there was a string pulling from their lower back and pulling them backwards. I'm going to have her feel it here in a backward roll. Okay, go ahead and pause it, please. So what you'll